Hi, it's the Restaurant Technology Guys. This is Gary Stotko. I've got my partner here, Jeremy Julian. Good morning, Jeremy.
Good morning, Gary.
We're here to talk about mobile POS, what it can mean to your restaurant. Man, is this a relevant topic right now. What do we mean by mobile POS?
So, as Gary just alluded to, the mobile is probably the question that I get asked the most about, amongst others, but it's probably the main topic that I get asked about is what is everybody doing for mobile? And so today, our intent is to kind of share with you a little bit about what some different people are doing with mobile and some ideas to help you consider as you're going mobile. But when we talk about mobile POS, it could mean anything from a handheld to a tablet to a wireless fixed POS terminal to pay at the table type devices that are related to just payment, to guest loyalty that's just related to a mobile tablet that's not even integrated to your point of sale. We're going to talk a little bit about all of those things today, but it's really just getting a device that's not a fixed position device that has the ability to move around and go wherever you are.
Don't forget, as we go through this, go ahead and enter your questions down in the control panel on the lower right-hand side of your GoToWebinar control panel, and we'll jump back into our session here. Who's right for mobile? It seems like there's an opportunity in virtually every restaurant in some capacity to leverage mobile to their advantage.
Yeah, and you guys will see some images that traditionally when you say mobile, you know, people will think about a stadium or think about potentially something outdoors on a patio. But what we're finding is that just about anybody can go mobile, including in some capacity. It doesn't have to be full mobile. When we say a mobile strategy, it doesn't mean that you have to go 100% of your transactions go through mobile. You could still use your fixed position point of sale and then use it for, and you'll see later in the presentation, use it for curbside, or use it for your patio, or use it for, you know, line busting in your drive-thru. Any of you guys that are from Southern California are familiar with the white shirt and the red aprons at In-N-Out. They are able to contribute or add to their sales by using mobile POS out in the drive-thru to continue to line bust and move the line forward faster. And that's just one example in a fast food environment. If I would have told somebody 10 years ago, before somebody took the plunge like In-N-Out, that we can put mobile into fast food, they'd say, why? We've got cashier terminals and you know, why not just walk up to the cashier? But even in a fast food environment, you could go mobile. In a fine dining environment, you could go mobile in the bar or at curbside. And again, we'll talk about some of those different applications here in a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, straight into that, here's an example of a handful of folks, our clients, that have gone mobile. They're using it mostly in this instance in a table service form or fashion. In the previous slide, Jeremy was referring to in a quick service. But Jeremy, share with us, with our clients, how are they using it?
So I'm just going to pick a couple of clients just because we don't have time to go through every one of them and their use case. If you guys want to hit us offline, we can talk about how somebody that I didn't go through. But quick example, Improv, it's a comedy club. There's, you know, bunches of them nationwide, but they've got a very, very finite amount of time between shows in order to do things. And when they were using traditional point of sale, they were having to walk back and forth to the terminals. Now they can take all of their drink orders in one fell swoop going down the line in the Improv, and then come back and take all of the food orders after all the drinks have been done. It's increasing their sales, it's growing their business, and allowing the servers to be in front of the guests. The second client the second two clients that I'm going to talk about are both Southern California customers. J.T. Schmidt's, they expanded a huge patio. They're right outside of the hockey arena as well as the baseball stadium in Anaheim here, and they've got huge influxes of business that happen right before game time, whether it be the Angels or the Ducks. So they expanded their patio, almost doubled the patio size, actually tripled the patio size, and realized in that environment that if they went wireless, they would be able to serve that many more guests in the small period of time. Supermex is a very similar example, the one that I'll talk a little bit about is that down in Long Beach, they put on their patio, they've got a rather large patio, they put handhelds out in the server's environment out on the patio. You know what? We don't have the quote in here, but when we talked with the client, they saw pretty decent sized double-digit growth two-digit growth in sales, 10, 12, 15% on their patio by just adding handhelds because of the ability to be on the floor with the guests, take that second drink order, that third drink order, because you're there with them. And so those are just some examples. And again, everybody else that's on that list, including a lot more. We just kind of picked a few different customers to talk about.
Share as an example. And the reality is, before I go to the next slide, the ROI on that on a Friday or Saturday night with JT's, it's any game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Your ROI is super fast.
Yeah, it's almost a no-brainer in certain circumstances to consider putting it out there, especially when they went to, because JT's could have designed their patio to put traditional point of sale, but they said, you know what, the wireless technology is getting to the place that it needs to be. Guests are starting to expect it, and we'll talk a little bit about that in a few minutes here. So they took the plunge, and they've been a long-time CBS customer and have had traditional fixed point of sale, and just took that leap into mobile just recently, and it's paid huge dividends for them.
Yeah, I think we're going to see that hybrid more and more going forward.
Yep.
So why are we talking about mobile POS? By the end of 2013, 28% of retailers expect to adopt some mobile plan. Also, demographically, technology can be used as a point of differentiation within the restaurant industry, especially with millennials.
So similar to what we've just talked about, you guys, all you guys that are restaurateurs, technology providers, you guys are getting asked about mobile. Everybody's got a device in their hands that is more powerful than the PC that was sitting on their desk probably even 5 years ago. And so everybody's got a cell phone. Everybody's got tablets. Most people are walking around with these things. Why not take that into the environment that is going to make you money?
Yeah, drive revenue. Some things to think about as we go through mobile POS. Wireless is the future. Jeremy will talk a little bit more about that later on. Your customers do want it, or they do expect it. One or the other. Payment security is important. This is becoming more and more paramount to the security of your stores going forward, and we'll talk about that. It can build your bottom line. We just shared some examples that illustrated just that. These are revenue-generating activities and devices. You need to work with experts, both from the wireless platform and with your software service provider. And then how to prepare yourself and your staff for change.
So just real quick, Gary, this is kind of, I don't want to say it's a checklist, but it's something that anybody that's considering mobile POS, I would put this list in front of them. And again, those of you guys that are out on the line that are service providers, take this list and say, you know what, these are the types of things that we realize are critical and paramount to a successful implementation. You guys will see later this week or next week, if you guys are subscribing to our blog, some content that relates to some more details about some of these things. But these are all critical components that, and this list isn't an extensive list. This is just a small thing that Gary and I kind of created off the top of our heads as we were preparing for the webinar today.
No, it's a good foundation to build off of. 6 big benefits mobile POS can bring to your restaurant. Improved speed of service. This is the old measuring the amount of steps that it takes to accomplish a task.
Yeah, so anybody that's going to deploy mobile POS, I think, understands that being with your guests and being out in the dining room with those people and not having to run back and forth to the POS terminal is going to net you faster speed, faster ticket turn times. Guests are going to be able to come in, get in and get out. We'll talk a little bit later about just the lunch crowd. At a minimum, if you're a lunch business, you've got to think about your lunch crowd because a lot of people only have an hour. The second side of it is you're with your guests, and so being able to give them a higher level of service.
So with wireless, the possibility of with your salesperson on the floor more often, eliminating the steps back to the point of sale system allows you to expand table service.
Yep. Expand both your tables, because you're going to go to the dining room once, and the device that you have in your hand is going to send the items back to the kitchen, back to the bar. You're not going to have to make that run back to the point of sale terminal. You can hit the second table, third table, fourth table without ever having to go back to the kitchen, without ever having to go back to the environment where your traditional fixed point of sale would be.
Labor savings, and this goes back to the previous slide.
So what we've found is when you deploy mobile POS, and again, this all is just what we've seen in our environment, but you can typically increase your station size by anywhere between 15 and 30%. So, or I put 20 to 40% reduction, but you can increase just the amount of tables that you're able to deal with because of that other labor savings. So, I mean, not the labor savings, but the time and motion savings of having to go back to the point of sale. And so we found that people are able to reduce their labor significantly by putting a staff person in the station and not having to run back and forth. And so we kind of threw that out there as something that you're going to benefit from by putting mobile point of sale out.
More flexible operations, holidays.
Yeah, so some of the things that you guys heard us talk about, the patio and JT Schmidt's, that's just an example of, they've got a huge influx of guests because of the sporting events. Well, how do they expand into that environment without having to pay for fixed point of sale? Well, now that mobile point of sale can now also be moved inside during a non-event day to be able to do extra drink orders and things like that through the dining room. You've got catering, you've got private parties, you've got big banquet rooms, you've got all of these different opportunities that you're going to be able to expand or contract. We've got a customer that's in Newport Beach that's a Irish bar, and if they had mobile, they don't. They've chosen not to adopt that. But St. Patrick's Day, they'll do 5 times the business that they would do on a normal Friday or Saturday night. If they had mobile, you know what? They could expand out into the parking lot, expand out into all of these different places with fixed point of sale that you just don't have that opportunity, because you got to get electrical, you got to get cable, you got to get all of these different things run into the environment where you want to drive your sales.
Payment speed and security.
So you guys, any of you that have traveled to Europe and Canada, for years they've had pay at the table. The U.S. hasn't necessarily adopted this model, but I was on a family vacation last holidays, and we were in London, and every single transaction happened at the table. Even in a counter service environment, they almost never touched your credit card. It's becoming more and more relevant. Those of you guys that aren't aware, the U.S. is going to be adopting some different strategies related to chip and signature and/or chip and PIN. Those rulings haven't come down yet, but we will be getting to the point where you're going to have to get some form of mobile payment to allow guests to be able to do chip and PIN or chip and signature at the table. And so it's a big thing. You guys have all seen the stories of people swiping credit card numbers off of the little readers that they put into their aprons. Big piece. And as guests are, just another little anecdotal story, we just adopted, or not adopted, we just brought in a customer into our fold who has its roots in Europe, and they wouldn't even consider a point of sale operation unless it had mobile payment, because for them, that's just the way you do it in Europe. And so when they came to North America, they said, you know what, there is no option but doing mobile point of sale.
Yeah, and at this point, it's gives you the ability to have a differentiator between you and the rest of your competitors up and down the street. I find regionally it's a little bit different, but the opportunity to keep the credit card at the table with the consumer truly does create a memory of differentiation from all the other restaurants. And I think as a consumer, having a restaurant watch over my security of my card is paramount. Happy guests.
So one of the things that we had talked about earlier was just speed of service, but happier guests, if they can get good service because the servers are in the stations, if they can come and go when they need to, they're going to come back. They're going to also talk about it in all of the different social medias outlets that are out there. You guys see all of the social media, whether it's Yelp, any of you guys that are restaurant operators have to keep an eye on your Yelp scores, have to hear what's going on, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, all of these different things that are going on. Guest satisfaction, they're your biggest marketing. You guys can spend as much as you want on television ads and radio ads and putting big banners up, but ultimately guests are going to talk to each other, and they're going to end up driving more business for you than just about anything. Yeah. So keep those guests happy by allowing them to come and go when they need to, allowing them to pay as they need to, allowing them to get the extra drink order. I know for myself, nothing makes me more frustrated than when I'm sitting in a dining room and I've got an empty iced tea glass and I cannot find a server anywhere because they're screwing around in the kitchen dealing with the point of sale and dealing with something outside of my site. So again, those are just things that I think that you guys will end up with mobile point of sale, if you adopt it, are going to end up having happier guests because of it. And
you know what? The bottom line.
So we talked again about the sales increases from the extra beer. We talked again about decreases in labor by being able to have larger stations, expanding your guest base. One other anecdotal thing that I know one of our clients uses is they've got, you've got in the lunch crowd, and I said I would talk about it later. In the lunch crowd, you've essentially got less than 40 minutes or about 40 minutes to serve your guests that have an hour lunch, which 90% of the U.S. people have an hour for lunch. You've got 40 minutes because they've got a 10-minute drive there and a 10-minute drive back to your restaurant for the most part. So if you're not going to hit that 40-minute window and you can't, you're going to eliminate some of the guests that potentially would come into your restaurant because of the fact that you're not able to turn tables fast enough. How do we turn tables fast enough? We talked about it earlier. Get the point of sale into the environment, get them out of being in the kitchen on the point of sale terminal, put it out where they're living. You'll end up garnering additional customers that you wouldn't have gotten otherwise.
So the 6 big benefits of going mobile: improved speed of service, labor savings, more flexibility in your operations, payment speed and security, happier guests, and a significant improvement to the bottom line. At this point, we'll jump into our questions. As a reminder, if you go to the bottom right corner of the control panel for GoToWebinar, you can insert your questions.
We've got one quick question coming in just about what wireless infrastructure, and I'm not 100% sure, what wireless infrastructure do you guys recommend? We partner with a couple of different professional wireless companies, and I would suggest that whoever you choose to deal with in the wireless environment, that you're not finding your brother, your cousin who thinks they're an IT guy to go do your wireless environment. It's a professional environment. It needs to be secured. If you're going to offer guest wireless, you need to segment the guest wireless environment, because you can't have the guest wireless be on the same segment as your credit card data. So you need to segment those things. You have to buy a high enough end router to be able to do those things. We've got some suggestions of people that we do business with, but I would just caution you against going out to your local Best Buy or your local, electronics hardware store and saying, oh, well, this works great for my house, for my iPad, and my daughter that's playing, Angry Birds downstairs, so it should just work for my restaurant. You guys know as well as we do that that you need to have a professionally deployed wireless environment in order to do that.
Yeah.
Again, we recommend AeroHive as the partner that we've partnered with. We've in the past also used SonicWall, and we've also used Symbol, all professional grade type devices. We could talk offline about your particular environment, but I would suggest whether it be a site survey with a professional wireless company that you guys consider those things.
Okay. What kind of hardware are you looking at for handheld?
So this came in and this came in from one of our existing customers. We will have a blog post about all of what wireless handhelds we are using. But CBS as an organization sells a lot of POS point of sale, and with POS point of sale being a Windows point of sale environment, we need to adopt a Windows platform. They've also got some Android platforms that we're testing and playing with right now, but we've got both a 4.3-inch handheld, a 7-inch kind of tablet, smaller end tablet, not quite as big as a full-scale iPad, and then we've got a Windows-based iPad, I don't want to say replica, but there's a device from HP that we're testing, as well as a device from DT Research that are all about 9.5 inches in size. Those devices are all devices that we've tested, field tested, kind of done breakdown, teardown analysis to play with them. Again, it's an ever-changing space. We have new manufacturers that call us weekly saying, hey, will you test out our new device to see if it'll work in your environment? So the answer might be different in 3 months, but today we've got a 4.3-inch ruggedized handheld tablet, we've got a 7-inch ruggedized tablet, and then we've got a 9-inch, we've got a couple of different 9-inch fuller size tablets.
Right. And just to be clear, what software do we sell? We are the country's largest POS dealer, in addition to a manufacturer of our own software called North Star Order Entry, which is an iPad-based POS solution. So are we compatible with Micros, NCR? I'm not sure what you're selling. We're really not selling anything here today, quite frankly. Our desire, or our intent with this webinar was to create an open dialogue with you as the restaurateur about what we see happening in the industry, so you get both sides, your side and the opportunity to tap our knowledge of what's going on with our product in POS-Touch or our product with an iPad solution, in addition to the other traditional point of sales, which would be your Micros, Aloha, Digital, Squirrel, and. So like I said, our intent, discuss mobile, the advantages, what you should look out for, and what your next steps could be if you were looking to increase revenue.
Yeah, as Gary talked about, we're not necessarily here to sell anything. We're really here to educate people on what we're seeing. I was just at an industry trade show in Las Vegas a couple of months back, and you know what? It was the hottest thing that everybody was talking about. It's everybody that's in our space. So they're getting it from their customers. It was retailers, people that sold to retailers, it was people that sold to the grocery industry, and it was people that sold to the hospitality industry. All of them were talking about mobile. I sat in a breakout session from one of the suppliers, or I don't even say suppliers, he's a distributor, and it was one of the most attended breakout sessions. Every breakout session that was about mobility was every breakout session that was about mobility was jam-packed, because everybody is trying to figure out what everybody else is doing to get into that game. And truly, we were just here to educate you guys on what we're seeing and what people are doing. So create a dialogue. We're not here to sell anything. We don't necessarily want you guys to think that every time you see a webinar coming out from us, that it's all about us trying to sell you something. It's more about how do we educate you about what everybody else is doing, because some of you guys are going to be on Micro, some of you guys are going to be on Aloha, some of you guys are going to be on NCR. We just want to tell you what's out there and what's happening.
Yeah, thanks, Jeremy. So as we wrap up our presentation here today, one more question popped in. So you cannot run on any iOS devices currently. We do have an iOS point of sale. It is North Star Order Entry, and it's an iPad solution. Right now, currently, POS-Touch does not run on iOS. It's a Windows-based platform, and it also has the ability to run off of Android.
Yep. Yeah, so in what we've been selling, we sell all three, I guess, to give you that answer. It's not the same application that runs on all three devices. Like Gary said, POS-Touch will run in an Android environment, it'll run in a Windows environment, and then our North Star Order Entry is an iOS, built from the ground up iOS type application that'll run on as you guys see on the screen here, we do have a webinar next week to talk about what is going on in the world of iPad point of sale and talk a little bit about our product. So.
Yeah. Next Thursday the 19th, 10 a.m. Pacific time. Please join us for What's the Deal with iPad POS, the 5 questions restaurant operators should be answering before they go out and purchase something. And to let you know, again, our blog is up and running. Please go visit us at cbsnorthstar.com. The restaurant technology guys, sign up. We would love to have some feedback. We had expressed early on in the webinar series open dialogue, and so with the blog going, we want to create that dialogue with you and give us input, feedback, subjects you'd like to know about, or just reach out and ask questions pertaining to your current circumstances, your challenges, and we'll share information as we're able to provide you some level of expertise.
Yeah, you guys will also see in that blog, as we continue to create content, whether it be recent customers that, customer testimonials about how they've deployed wireless and what it's done for them, and just different success stories that we've had, as well as some, just what are people asking us about. We're trying to get it down on paper or down digitally so that people can read it, as well as listen to us talking heads sit on these webinars every couple of weeks to have you guys listen to what we've got going on.
Yeah, the most prevalent comment has been, you know what, I've liked participating in the webinars to see what other restaurateurs are doing that I might be overlooking. So great opportunity for each of us to engage those in our sphere of influence and share info. Thank you guys again for being here today. We'll be sending out announcements for the next webinar, and make it a great day.
Thanks, guys.